Good morning. Not coffee this morning, but a smoothie. Yeah, lots of healthy fruit and vegetables. Okay, sorry the weather's gone a bit naff, but there you go. Can't have everything. Just before I start today, just make sure that doesn't fly away. Just before I start today, a little competition. Can you email me? And the first email I get with 2 correct answers, 2 questions. What's changed in my swing over these videos? And the second thing is, what else new can you see in this image today? Okay, let me just, I've now done 49, so let's just finish off for the day. A little bit unstable there, so I might just do that. So 51, and if you believe that, you believe anything. Actually, it's about my 6th or 7th of the day, but still. Okay, so is there anything different there? Okay, now there are about 21, I think maybe 22 videos out there now, and the strange thing is that the video I did earlier on about putting has had the fewest number of hits. Now I find that a bit strange, because research says that whatever your handicap, whatever your level of golf, putting represents 43% of the game. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Nearly half of your game is on the green and people actually aren't really interested in it. But I think you are interested in the topic I'm going to talk about today, which is 4-foot putts. I've been asked by James Marlow some advice on putting, and in particular any tips on 4-foot putts. So the first thing to say about a 4-foot putt is it is eminently missable. So you're going to miss them, and if you develop a relaxed attitude to missing a putt, and you'll see from what we're going to talk about from here on in, tension's a killer, we know. Tension in putting becomes mental tension, and I don't believe you can go for a lesson with the yips and get a mechanical fix. I know, I've tried and tried and tried that. But this little story that I want to tell you about, and then after that I'll come back to James and I'll show you a drill, and I'll talk a little bit more about the putting technique that he's looking to evolve at the moment. So I'm telling this story, and it's in my book, and it's about Marie-Pierre in France, and it's about putting. And it's such an important story for me, a particularly important event in my coaching life, because I was lost. And let me tell you the story again. And it was what I did that revolutionized her putting that was so significant. It taught me more about coaching than anything else has ever done. So Marie-Pierre had a session of lessons over a winter, and in the first lesson, and we always do an hour because we need time to ask questions, find out about you before we can start to consider giving you any advice. And right at the outset she said, oh, my putting was dreadful. Now when somebody says that their putting is the worst part of their game, usually I would say, well, let's come look at your putting first. No, I want to focus on the golf swing. Okay. Then in every lesson, and she had about half a dozen through the winter, every lesson, at the end of the lesson, I'd have a few minutes and I said, well, we could do a bit of putting now if you like. No, I'll stay with the swing. So I got the very strong feeling that she was avoiding putting, and yet it was a major problem for her. So when the spring came, I said, next time let's play 9 holes, or a few holes. So she came on the due date and we went out and played, and the first hole, lovely drive with the swing that we've been working on, so it's nice to see who's actually taking it to the course. Lovely fairway wood, lovely 7-iron, right over the flag, about 15 feet. Past the flag, slightly past and above the flag. We get to the green and she was nice and relaxed, it was a lovely day. We got to the green, she took her putter out and she changed. She became somebody completely different, and excuse me, Marie-Pierre, but I would say that she was, this was in France by the way, that's Marie-Pierre, I'd have to say she was like a nervous wreck. She was, so she, with a rather weird and wonderful sort of series of movements. She hit her putt too hard down the hill, 20 foot away from the hole, so she's got further away after one putt. She eventually holes, I think, quite a lucky putt, because she sort of flicked it into the hole for an 8. 5 putts. As we're walking, and it was about 200 or 300 yards, meters to the next tee, and I'm, where do I start? Where do I start? And although I was already becoming a coach and getting away from the technical approach, there's still the fact that you've been trained that way, and so you're thinking, well, what can I do? And then it occurred to me to ask a question, and this is based on the fact that a lot of people, even early beginner golfers, tend to think that they might not be able to hit the ball like a good player, but they can at least putt. So how many putts should a player take on the greens? Oh, she said 2. Never more than 2. 3 is dreadful. Oh, okay. Didn't say anything more. Played the next hole. Lovely drive, lovely fairway wood, lovely 7-iron onto the green, but this time about 30 feet away, so I'm fearing the worst. So we got to the green, she got a putter out, so I said, Marie-Pierre, before you putt, I'm just going to suggest a new plan with a mantra. Yeah? I said, what I'd like you to do, I would like you, on your first putt, the objective is to reduce the distance between the ball and the hole as much as you can without going past it. Okay. And I said, then on your next putt, what I'd like you to do is the same thing, reduce the distance as much as possible, but I want you to imagine glue around the hole, so the ball will get stuck in the glue and it will be so close to the hole that you couldn't possibly miss the next one. She said, but that's 3 putts. I said, yes, but 3 is better than 5, isn't it? Not happy at all. And I thought, well, we've got another hour or so on the golf course, this is not going to be very easy. Anyway, so she stood over the ball, and I repeated the mantra, reduce the distance by as much as possible without going past the hole. And lo and behold, a nice smooth putting stroke, and the ball went up to about 2 feet from the hole. So, walked up to the putt, and I said, okay, now you don't have to hold it, I just want you to stick it so close in that glue around the hole. Lovely smooth putting stroke in the hole. We went to the next hole, par 3. She hit a nice 7-iron onto the green, but she had a long putt, probably 50 feet, up 2 tiers. And so I repeated the mantra, and reduce the distance, don't go past the hole. Lovely smooth putting stroke, again up to about 2 feet. Right, just stick it in that glue, popped it in the hole. And the smoothest, loveliest putting stroke. So, and we played about another 3 holes, and she 2-putted every time, and we cut through and played to the 18th. 3 shots on the green, just past the flag, 15 feet, double burrow putt. It's going to swing to the right and then swing back to the left. So as she stood over the ball, I started to repeat the mantra, and she said, no, that's okay, I've got it. Okay, fine. Lovely smooth putting stroke. The ball took off, took the 2 burrows, popped in the hole, and she shrieked, oh, I'm terribly sorry, I wasn't trying to hold it. How interesting, how interesting. So she'd been trying so hard to do something in 2, which she was eminently capable of, but she wasn't doing, and so it's becoming a bigger and bigger drama. And the physical part was because of the tension and the anxiety. And I learnt that day that very often it's got nothing to do at all with technique. And if I used the Timothy Galway quote, profound understanding requires attending to what lies beneath the visible surface. So she goes for a golf lesson with another technical coach, and he's going to look at what she's doing, he's going to change her grip, he's going to change her stance. He's not getting to the root cause. So back to James. Okay, so 2 things. James is trying to introduce a little bit of la danse de golf, because I've said in one of my videos that every golf shot is part of the same family. So it's a big dance for a bigger shot, and it's a small one for a pitch and a smaller one for a chip, and they're still allowed a little bit of it in a putt. I think possibly, James, you're trying to move, whereas really the point to me there is that if we stand to a putt and we allow our body sympathetically to move, to respond to the swing of the putter, that's fine. We don't need to move a lot, but that compared with I mustn't move my legs, I mustn't move my head, I must putt with my shoulders, I mustn't use my hands and wrists, well, it's awkward. I'm cutting my body into lots of different bits and trying to get most of them to stay still and one or two of them allowed to move. I'm sorry, I think that's crazy. So the drill I'm going to give you for those short putts, which worked fantastically for me, I discovered it playing the French circuit in 1990, because loads of the guys were doing it, and it's 2 chalk lines from the hole out on a straight putt. So you have to putt around and find a straight or very straightish putt, and you put chalk lines down from the edge of the hole back, so you've got parallel lines the width of a hole apart, and then you use this. So you'd put a T in this part, so it's now held by the edge of the hole, and you pull it out. Be careful because I've got blue chalk everywhere. And you pull it out, and then you come back, you get down on the ground, and you hold it taut, and then you flick it, and it leaves the chalk line. So this is called a chalk line reel and case. It's used for plumb lining in the building trade, so you can get it usually at builders merchants. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to leave that there. And so I saw this, and I had a go. Some guy had been putting and gone, so I thought, oh, wow, my putting improved ever so quickly. And so I went back home and I was doing that on a very regular basis. And I'm the guy who, I hold 2 or 3 putts and then I get a bit excited. So I very rarely go on and keep holding putts. So even in little challenges with fellow coaches or friends, I was never able to hold a lot of short putts in a row. Probably too excitable to be a tour player. Anyway, so this thing, I'm really getting into it, and I'm holding so many putts, and I'm beginning to find that on the course there are 2 situations where you need to hold 4-foot putts. One is you've missed the green, chipped up to 4 feet, so it's okay, but it's not a brilliant chip, and you hold it, keeps your momentum going. Or you hit a drive, you hit a second shot to 4 feet, got a birdie the hole, and then you miss the putt. And I used to miss a lot of birdie putts. I tended to hold the par putts and miss the birdie putts. And they say that psychology isn't important in golf. So this gave me confidence, and that confidence came out on the golf course very, very soon. And one day I went to practice on my day off, and I hit the shots for about an hour, and then I thought I'd do some more putting. And I did it a few times, and then would miss eventually. I had 6 balls. And of course, remembering 6 balls, stand up in between each one, because you practice your putting for an hour, you're going to have a bad back. And then I got into a rhythm, and I hold my 6, and another 6, and another 6, and another 6, and I thought, well, I wonder how far we could go here. It took absolutely ages, and I hold 147 putts in a row. I think I might have missed 148th, which is a bit of a shame because I was looking for 150. 147. Wow, the self-confidence that brought to me. Wow, so I am somebody who can do things consistently and keep holding putts. Wow, and talk about change my score. It was just wonderful. So James, that's a brilliant way of improving your putting, and it's a very small investment. You just maybe have to check with the golf club, because you're leaving blue lines or whatever colour chalk you have on the putting green. They're only on the surface, and when the grass grows and is cut, they'll disappear. And the other thing to make sure is that you can do it 6 feet and then putt from 2 feet and 4 feet and wherever you like. But be careful not to stand in exactly the same place, because if you do that for long enough, then you end up with an imprint on the green and a little bit of damage to the green, only temporary. But the greenkeeper might not like it. It is the best thing for putting that I've ever come across. And I just want to touch on a point to give you a little bit more understanding about why we might develop something like the yips. And this is a situation that happened to me, and funny enough, it happened to me at an interview for a job at the Lambourn Club when I was in France, and I came back for the interview and I flew back. My sister picked me up at Heathrow, went to stay with her overnight, and then she lent me her brand new car and I drove to the golf club. And I knew the way. I had been in that area before and never been to that golf club before. And you come off the motorway and a little dual carriage and you go into country road, very narrow road. And at one stage there's some paving and posts that limit the traffic to cars, so wider vehicles can't get through, and it's very narrow. And I knew about it. I'd been through there once or twice in my life before, and I think I'm a good driver anyway, and I wasn't late or anything, no problem, but I caught it. One of the wheels touched the curb, and wow, I went for the interview, got the job, and then when I came back and I had to move very quickly, so I said, well, you come and live with us until you find somewhere to live yourself. So I was doing that every day. In fact, I ended up staying with them for 6 months until they kicked me out. Every day I went through that road narrower, and as I approached it, I had something in the pit of my stomach. I was nervous. And I thought, this is just not like me. Why is this happening? Well, I've had a situation and my brain's clever. It thinks it might happen again. And I'm saying, no, it isn't. But I used to have to go through this so slowly. And then I just wanted to thank a very good friend of mine, Paul, who now lives in Florida. He was over and we played golf, and he took me in his car from the golf club to the restaurant, and we went through that on the way. Then on the way back, and as we got close to it, he's a good driver as well, and he accelerated to go through, what we men do with confidence, and he hit it. Big BMW, he hit both tyres, and a mile and a half later he had to stop in a pub, and he had to have his car picked up and towed back to Southampton where he was living. But thank you, Paul. I'm sorry if you're watching this, but you did me a power of good that day, because all of that guilt and shame about me doing it, and then you did it, and I respect you as a good driver, so it just took all the angst away from me, and I used to then go through it with a little bit better sense of calm. So in playing golf we make mistakes, they're a part of the game, and you miss a little putt, oof, and it stays with you, and then you get anxious, and it's all about getting anxious. So on those short putts, I can assure you that all I do, first of all I say, I accept I might miss this. It's a lovely day, and I just think total relaxation, total, from my face to my everything, total relaxation. And you do your best, and if you miss it, hard luck. Just pick the ball up, tap it in the hole, pick it up and walk off and forget it. Okay, so that's it for today. So the two questions: to have a free video review, has my swing changed through these videos, and if so, how? And what else is in this image that you see today that is different? Okay, thanks very much again. I don't think we're going to get much more of this good weather for the next few days. I think it's going to be very, very windy, so we might be doing some videos from indoors. Anyway, thanks again for joining me, and I hope that all helps.